For this recipe, you'll need about 85 grams of blanched almond flour, 2 teaspoons of dried rosemary, about a teaspoon of finely milled sea salt, 2 tablespoons of whole flaxseed, 1/4 cup of water, 1/4 cup of mixed seeds, and I use something called a salad mix, which boils down to about 2 tablespoons of sunflower seeds, a tablespoon and a half of pumpkin seeds, and literally about 6 pine nuts. You'll also need a measuring cup or a small bowl, as well as a larger bowl for mixing. For the first step, you want to combine the water and the flax seeds in a measuring cup. This will thicken up and act as an egg substitute. I let this sit and thicken for about 2 hours, but it only takes about an hour. You can also use boiling hot water and it will gel almost immediately. This is what's going to hold the cracker together. Once that's set up and thickened, you can get started on the dry mix. Add the almond flour, rosemary, sea salt, and mixed seeds to the larger mixing bowl. Give these dry ingredients a quick stir, distributing the salt and rosemary evenly throughout the mix. Pour the flaxseed and water mix over the dry ingredients. Use a silicone spatula to remove any flaxseed or liquid that may have stuck to the container. Mix this together thoroughly, making sure that all of the almond flour has been coated with the flaxseed liquid, because that is the only thing that is going to hold this all together. Once everything is nicely combined, transfer the mixture to a non-stick or silicone mat. I've only ever done this with a non-stick Teflon oven mat, which is also called a non-stick barbecue mat, but perhaps baking parchment paper would also work. Although I don't think I would use aluminum foil just for the fact that it might conduct heat a little bit differently, and therefore make the crackers brown too quickly in the oven. Once you have everything transferred, you'll need a sheet of plastic wrap that's about the same size as the bottom mat and a rolling pin. Spread the plastic wrap in one layer over the mixture so that when you begin to roll it flat, your rolling pin remains clean. I fold and use the edges of the mat to make sure that when I'm done, my crackers have pretty close to 90-degree corners. You'll see I take my edges pretty seriously when it's all said and done. It's also the reason why I only make these about once a month. When you've rolled the cracker out to between 2 and 3 millimeters in thickness, remove the plastic wrap and perforate the crackers to the approximate size you wish to have. I wouldn't use a pizza cutter because you run the risk of damaging your baking mat, but if you don't have a dough cutter, a blunt butter knife would also do the job. I do know some people, whom shall remain unnamed, that would prefer one big cracker, but for the more civilized portion of the population, it's nice to break it down a bit. I often eat these for lunch as a bread substitute, so I rarely break them down into bite-sized pieces, but you can also do that if you'd like. Transfer the entire baking sheet to an oven-safe pan. This is actually the oven pan that came with my oven, and I like it because it's large enough where my crackers can all lay flat and there are no curled edges when I'm done. This next step is optional. I pour about 1/4 cup of rice into the container I intend to store the crackers in. I place a clean paper towel on top. I've found that this helps to extend the shelf life of the cracker, keeping them crisp, also absorbing any moisture or humidity that might reach them. With a light hand, gently break the crackers apart. They can be very delicate depending on how thin you've rolled them, so take your time with them. I bake the crackers at 285 degrees for about 35 minutes. After 35 minutes, I simply turned off the oven and allowed the oven to return almost to room temperature, to the point that I could without question handle the pan without an oven mitt. If this is not an option for you, simply remove the crackers from the oven and allow them to cool completely before storing. These crackers are delicious to eat on their own, but I often pair them with a hummus or a light spinach dip. My most recent time making these, I replaced the rosemary with a teaspoon of granulated garlic, so you can play with the spices quite a bit. I hope you give them a try.